repave it because of, because of
Welcome.
the pipes and the water was flowing up.
We will go ahead and start the Town of Lake Clark Shores Code Enforcement Board hearing, August 28th, 6:30 PM. Emily, would you please call roll?
Chair Paul Hughes,
Present.
Vice Chair Gerard Sanchez, Board Member Deb Moody,
Present.
Board Member Wesley Cook,
Present.
Board Member Miguel Espinosa, Board Member Patricia Keough,
Present.
sorry.
Present.
Board Member Henry Stout.
Present.
Okay, we'll stand and do the pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
thank you. Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item is consent agenda, which includes the approval of the minutes for our last July 4th, 24th meeting and cases now in compliance. Everyone's had the opportunity to review the minutes. Okay, and Eric, could you introduce any cases now in compliance?
Absolutely, Chairman Hughes. Good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Is your mic on?
Testing.
Okay.
Good evening, Chairman Hughes and ladies and gentlemen of the Code Board. Cases that are now in compliant is going to start on page 3. On page 3, at the bottom of the page, case 24-0266 is now in compliance. Page 4, case 24-0276 is in compliance. Case 24-0293 is in compliance. Case 24-0294 is in compliance. And that concludes all properties that are in compliance.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone approve? Anyone opposed? Say aye. Okay, the motion carries. Disclosure of visits. If anyone has anything particular to say about any one of the cases that come before us tonight, if you have any firsthand information you'd like to share, if you please disclose that at the time we discuss the case. All those that will be testifying tonight, if you would please stand and be sworn in by our attorney.
Do you swear or affirm testimony you'll give me the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. If there's no objection, we'll just go in order. Case updates. Eric, this first case, 230882, you have anything more to add to this?
Yeah, so I discussed this before the meeting with Melissa. Just so the board is aware, the property is still not in compliance. However, the update for it is permits for the parking lot were issued on 8/5/2024. It will remain in violation until the final inspection is done. That will also continue for the other ones. So if you want to do it one at a time, or if you want me to speak for all three, Chairman Hughes, just let me know.
Okay. Yeah, let's just take them in order. That was just an update for us. Let's go to 0887.
Yes, so the same will apply for 23-0887. It's not in compliance, but permits were issued on 8/5/2024, and the violation will come into compliance once the final inspection has been done and has been passed.
Okay. 0890.
23-0890 will follow tail with the other ones. It's still in non-compliance. Permits were issued on 8/5/2024, and the property will stay in violation until a final inspection is done and passed.
Do you know if any of these have started resealing or?
Well, the permits were issued. Melissa, do you have anything further on it?
No, I don't know. I haven't been out to the job.
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
I haven't heard from Joe, who was one of the property managers who came last time. I haven't heard from him since the last code board meeting. So, but the permits are pulled, so the clock's ticking.
Okay. Fine imposition hearing. 0246.
Yeah, case 24-0246. This was the one with the commercial shed that was installed. This was where the family member had passed away. I don't have any further updates. When I spoke last month, I told you I didn't have any further communication with the widow. I still don't have any additional, I'm sorry, I haven't heard from them additionally. And as of today's date, there are no permit applications put in for and no permits have been issued.
So we gave them till this meeting to come into compliance, and they haven't even requested a permit application.
No, before the meeting, I checked on all the properties for tonight's code board agenda that require permits. Melissa checked into them and yeah, no permit application or permit has been issued for the commercial shed.
Mhm. Anyone?
You've heard nothing from these people.
No, I mean, the wife lost her husband, so I mean, I'm not going to speak for them, but we dealt with a similar case and it took a while to hear from them, so yeah.
Do you have evidence that they've received the board order?
Yes. Yeah, no, it was posted to the property and sent by mail, and it was on the door when I posted it. And when I had made my pass through later on that day, the notice was no longer on the door.
So we're looking at almost 3 months here since the initial notice.
I have a question. Have you tried making in-personal contact with the resident?
Yeah, when I posted the notice, I tried knocking on the door. There hasn't been as much activity there. I can only speculate. Maybe it's funeral arrangements, personal matters, the sudden loss of a family member. I can only imagine.
Thank you.
Well, we can impose the fine and adjust it later
Right.
procedurally. Anyone?
I'll make the motion. Based upon the testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-088, nope, sorry. You gotta get the page.
Page 4.
Yeah. 240246. I move that the respondents be found to have failed to comply with the order, finding a violation dated June 5th, 2024. A fine in the amount of $250 a day is imposed commencing on August 29th, 2024. Such fine shall continue to accrue at the daily rate until compliance is achieved. In addition, the town's costs of prosecuting this matter shall be assessed.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Continued cases. 0886, Forest Hill Professional Condominium Association. Eric, is this the one where you were going to go and,
Yes, it was.
okay,
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, each one of you should have received a copy of the memorandum. Myself, Melissa, and the utilities director, Damon Gammons, went out to the property. If you want to take just a brief moment to read through what the facts and findings were, and then I can speak further on it. I also, this memorandum that I have, I will be submitting this into the file as evidence.
I have some, since I've read through it, I have a question.
Yes.
Is the water still coming?
No, everything
Everything?
was checked. Me, Melissa, and the utilities director, we had actually walked to the side of the building
Yeah.
where at one point there was it a water pump, sprinkler pump? Yeah, there was a water slash sprinkler pump there at one time. It had not run in probably at least 10 years based on Damon's professional opinion. The actual motor pump was rotted through, so there's no way it could have been running from their side. There was still a hole there. We had Joe for the other property turn on all the sprinklers, all the water. Damon, the utilities director, actually went in the hole to examine the pipe. Not a single drop of water came out of it. So it was determined that the issue was fixed and there was no leak.
So since there is no leak, but there was water there, the woman that is at 1501, I think she said there was water there. It's coming through. Is there anything stopping that property owner from doing the work on the paving and sealing and do whatever she has to do?
From the code enforcement side, no. From the building side,
No,
Nothing.
it's good to
So-
go.
yep, there's nothing holding that property back.
So whose responsibility did they decide to fill in the hole? Was that discussed?
Well, the hole was partially redug to show what the doctor was complaining about.
Yeah.
So the hole was filled after it was determined that while the water was flowing, that there was no active leak. It was then filled for obvious safety reasons.
Okay. So where we stand on this is, has the person at 1501 applied for a permit to resurface and stripe or seal the driveway? Their
No.
parking lot?
Not as of today.
No permit application has been applied. No permits have been issued.
What was her reaction? I presume she was there,
Yes.
or a representative of hers was there. What was their reaction when they said, no, I mean, this Joe person would say, there's no water. What did she say? What did they do?
There was pushback until all the findings and facts came out, when every reasonable means was exhausted, and when the utility director inspected the hole, went down there, physically felt the pipe to ensure water was flowing through it. And then when the three of us went on the side of the building where their water pump their sprinkler pump at one time was, she even saw that it was impossible that one had been running at all in the last 10 years. So it was obvious that it was not coming from their side, and it was no longer coming from the 1495 side.
So this has been going on for
a year.
a year.
Mhm.
So are we to assume that this hasn't been a problem from the other people's?
1495, 1497, and 1499, as of 8/5/2024, pulled their permits.
Okay, but what I'm saying is back in, which you weren't here, probably August 2023, there was water. I guess she had pictures, there was water there.
Yes, and so during the code board meeting where both parties were present, Joe and the doctor, if you recall, she spoke to the board and said that there was all that running water an issue. I had actually excused myself to make a phone call. I spoke to Joe in the lobby on the phone, explained what was going on. Within a couple of days, based on what Joe was saying, the issue was totally resolved. Then there was some back and forth between the two properties during the next code board meeting. That's when it was determined to have us go out there, and it's been determined that yes, all those issues were taken care of.
So where do we go from here? We have a parking lot that was not paved, not striped.
Yeah.
Been that way for a year. At what point do you think that if there was a water problem, that it was repaired? So it was not a problem.
I
I'm
mean,
trying to figure out where we stand and how we
So
go about.
I can't speculate when it 100% was done. All I can say is when the three of us went out there as town employees, and I recorded it on my body camera. Melissa visually saw it and took photos. Damon saw it from the town's perspective, and from what we can say on that date, we, the three, can confirm. I can't speak for anything, previous to that, because then it becomes a he said, she said.
Mhm.
So based on what we saw and based on the memo that you have before you, the date on there is a date that we deem it as officially complied for the water leak, not the violation being complied.
Okay.
But yet we can't confirm yet whether she has a problem because her pump wasn't working when you went to go inspect.
Well, no, that does solve the problem because her pump doesn't work, so
Okay,
there's no way the water flow could have come from her side.
okay.
So what do you suggest we do? I'm thinking that, off the top of my head, that the person at 1501 is in violation.
They were already found.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they were found in violation, but it was extenuating circumstances because of the water.
Yeah.
So you kind of mitigate that, I think.
I think the fine should begin on that 7/26 date when they inspected and confirmed it
I
had
agree.
been
I agree as well.
repaired.
Agree.
Initially, I would have said go back to the May 22nd date, but
Yeah.
there were extenuating circumstances, so.
Okay. You want me to make a motion?
Unless
Sure.
one of you guys down there wanted
Doing
to.
such a good job.
I appreciate that. Based on the testimony, evidence presented in case number 23-0886, I move that the respondents be found to have failed to comply with the order finding a violation dated July, what was it? Oh, I have it right.
26,
26.
2024.
All right, July 26, 2024. I find the amount of,
$50.
well, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking construction without a permit requires repairs, seawall is $250. I'll say $100 a day, be imposed.
Yeah, you can't,
Yeah, we already
have an order.
Okay, be imposed commencing on that date.
$50 per day on 7/26? Is that what you're?
7/26, $50 and such fine shall continue to accrue at the daily rate until compliance is achieved. In addition, the town cost of prosecuting this matter will be assessed.
Second,
Motion's been moved and seconded. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay. We're moving on to new cases. 0260, Kunan LLC, stucco work done without a permit. Eric,
Yeah.
do you have a
Uh,
picture of this?
Yeah, I don't see a picture in that folder for that address, Eric.
So I wasn't able to take photos because it was done, they have a fence and hedges surrounding. This was one that was brought, the attention was brought from the building department. I do have photos of the stucco on my phone. If I can find those. Is it not in the file?
I don't know. You have the file.
No, I mean of the,
On the
There.
computer?
is it in 7926?
No, there's nothing in that folder.
Okay. There are photos of the stucco work. I don't currently have them, but I do have them either on my computer drive or on my work cell phone.
Eric, is it on the face of the property or?
Yeah, well, let me present the case and then I'll go further from there.
Go
'cause
ahead.
This was, yeah. All right. All right, good evening. I am Code Enforcement Officer Eric Richwagon, representing the town of Lake Clark Shores. This is case number 24-0260. Property owners identified by Coonan LLC, site address 7926 Pine Tree Lane, Lake Clark Shores, Florida, 33406. On 6/19/2024, a notice of violation was issued for section 10-91 subsection alpha, stucco work done without a permit. A notice of hearing was issued on 8/15/2024, and a reinspection of today's date finds the violation to still exist. I did speak to the building department. They are still not in compliance. They did apply for the permit and they did pay the 4 times fee. However, the permit wasn't applied for until 8/27/2024, and the permit is still not currently issued.
It's not issued because,
They applied for the application. They paid the 4 times fee, but the permit hasn't been issued. So there's no issued permit as of today, so they're still in violation.
What
Still
holds
in
up the
plan
permit?
review.
did they turn the application back in?
What's
On
holding up?
8/27, right?
It's
Yes,
being
on
it's being
27.
reviewed by the CAP,
Is it-
correct?
Is it in-house being reviewed now?
Yes.
Mhm.
Is this contractor who applied for the permit or an owner builder?
Contractor, I believe.
Just a little back information for this. This was actually initially brought to my attention by Melissa when I went out to the property. I took photos and showed it to her, and she said that the stucco work that they were doing needed a permit. And this violation was issued on June 19, 2024. The property owner was spoken to, and it was explained to them that they need a permit. So the fact that they just applied for it as of the 27th, I think it's a little, excessive. It should have been applied for much sooner.
How much time went on when you noticed them, did you give them to get a permit to come into?
For permits, it's standard issue to give them 30 days to apply for it, reach out to the building department, see if there's anything additional you need, if you need an engineer, or if you need someone to come in or verification for, whatnot.
Well, Well,
So they're in violation.
they're in violation.
Yes.
And the permit just came in yesterday,
Yeah, on the
8/27.
Yeah, on 8/27/2024. And they did pay the 4 times permit fee, but again, this is, we're in August and this was issued in June. And there was suspected other work going on, so we did have Manny go out there. He didn't see anything else, but they were put on notice that any additional work being done would require permits.
Since they're not here, were there any excuses given as to why it took so long to apply for the permit? No.
She didn't
Okay.
tell me anything.
No, the only thing that I heard, from the owner was he was out of the country and would stay on top of it.
Was this for the entire structure or were they just patching an area?
They're remodeling one part of the house, but they stuccoed the whole thing.
Mhm.
You said remodeling, they're remodeling the house, so was there any permits for the remodeling of the house?
There was.
And was that all done at the same date or whenever they started the work, they did it the right time and,
Correct. So she just added stucco in there just because she wanted to, I guess. I don't know. So they have permits, they have a contractor in the job, they just didn't.
So maybe they didn't know.
Well, wait a minute, they have a
No.
contractor, a licensed contractor, and then obviously there's a change order. Then,
Had a change of contractor as well. So
To-
during that change of contractor, they had the stucco done.
and I'm just curious, but if it's a licensed contractor, then they know that they need to pull permit. In other words, whoever's licensed knows what the rules are.
Correct.
Granted, if whoever they had before, if they fired and got another one, they still got to follow the same process. And that's really the contractor should be educated, but it all falls on the owner being
Mhm.
ultimately responsible.
Also, board members, I was able to find the photos on my phone of the date that it's taken. If anyone would like to see the extent of the stucco work, that way you have a visual representation.
Yeah, I don't think it makes a difference.
Ms. Moody, did you want to see it?
Would anyone like to make a motion? I mean, it's pretty obvious that they started to work without a permit.
Correct.
And now they got caught and got their hands slapped and, yeah, unfortunately.
More slack.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Debbie.
Okay. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 240260, I move that this board finds the respondents in violation of section 1091A of the Town Code of Ordinances. Respondent shall comply with the Town Code of Ordinances on or before, what date can we use? September 24th, 2024. If the respondent failed to comply with this order in a timely fashion, a fine in the amount not to exceed $250 per day may be imposed. A fine assessment hearing will be held on September 25th, 2024, if necessary.
Is there a second?
Second.
Deb, so all we're asking actually is for the permit
And inspections,
and inspections. Okay.
that puts them in compliance.
Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay. We're going to move on to page 4, case 240275.
That's correct. Good evening. I am Code Enforcement Officer Eric Richwagon, representing the town of Lake Clark Shores, case number 24-0275. Site property owners identified as Gruchenska, Leitz, and Gabriel Moncada. Site address 7217 Westlake Drive, Lake Clark Shores, Florida, 33406. On 7/12/2024, a notice of violation was issued for section 125-767. Cargo trailers are not permitted to be stored in the swale or the driveway. On 8/15/2024, a notice of hearing was issued. As of today's date, it is in compliance, but I still wanted it to be heard before the board because this property is currently undergoing construction work. So there are trailers and stuff coming in on a frequent basis. So I want it to be heard before the board. That way, if it happens again, they may be deemed as a repeat violator. I've gotten quite a few complaints. I have talked to them, so they have moved the trailers, but I just don't want this to be an ongoing thing.
You have pictures?
Oh, this one, no, because the trailer's not there.
Mhm. Where is this property?
So this is actually, it's right down the street. If you take Barbados, right at Westlake, if you look on your left-hand side, it's that house right there, the one that planted all the hedges,
Yep,
where everyone usually parks their boats.
yep.
Yeah,
So they're doing a bunch of work. Now, they did cut the hedges, which I commend them for that. But a complaint came in on Saturday, and yes, they were working, but they parked the trailer in the middle of the road, which is not a violation, but it was making people rather upset. And seeing as they were already previously violated for trailers, that's why I wanted it to be heard, just to put them on notice.
I had experienced it. The trailer was left not hitched to any car, just like in the middle of the road, blocking that way of traffic.
About
Correct.
15 feet before
Yeah.
the stop sign, correct? Yes.
I experienced that on, what was that, Saturday?
Yes, and Officer Zarzicki and myself went out there. We observed it. I left a note on the door. It was moved, so someone at the property got the note and they did move it, but complaints were coming in about it.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah, it was. And was that the owner's trailer or some contractors he had working there?
Yeah, so there's several people that are doing work. There's some people that are working on the lawn. So there's some trailers that come in with backfill. I know they were doing some work on the property itself. So it's all different kinds of trailers. And then they had heavy equipment that was parked on the side on the swale. So it was.
Wouldn't that warrant it? And since police chief is here, wouldn't that warrant a ticket? Because there was no vehicle attached to it. It was just left there. It was like abandoned. I don't know. It was like, there was no flat tire. There was no, but it was just.
There's no ordinance that says you can't park on the roadway. So you could even have a vehicle parked on the roadway unless it's creating an imminent health and safety. Because it was facing the right way. It wasn't obstructing both lanes. It's an ordinance that the town should probably adopt in the future, because other places, if a vehicle was parked in the roadway, like whether a residential road or a busier road like that, if it was left, you could ticket it, or I could sticker it and have it removed, but we don't have the ordinance for that.
Yeah, this trailer was not on the grass. It was completely in the pavement.
Yeah. Now, this is the same property. And when you talk about the swale, Eric, is that the same area where
All the boats were being parked?
people with trailers or
Yes.
boat trailers are parking?
Used to, yeah. The owners are pushing people off from doing that because they're responsible for the maintenance of the swale.
I saw a pickup truck and a trailer for a captain from Okeechobee parked there.
Hmm.
Obviously taking a customer probably fishing. Okay,
So what do we need to do for this? Just, we've had a hearing and.
You would want to have an order. When was the date for compliance initially?
Compliance will be up to today's date.
Well, in the notice of violation, what was the date for compliance?
In the notice of violation, well, the violation was issued on 7/12/2024.
And when were they told to comply?
Oh, I'm sorry. They were given 5 days to come into compliance, so that would have given them until 7/17/2024.
Okay, and then when did they comply?
When I went out to re-inspect today, there were no trailers that were in violation there. Actually, there was no trailers on the property at all.
Okay, so you would want to do an order that finds that the property's in compliance, but compliance was not achieved within the time allotted in the notice of violation, and have an order entered to that effect. Then if it happens again, it would officially be a repeat.
violation.
Yeah.
I'm just a little confused on the trailer. So there's construction work going on
Mhm.
and the contractor probably brings his truck on site and leaves it there because all of his tools and everything are in there. Is that the type of trailer we're talking about, or is this
It's
the
not just
owner
one, yeah,
leaving the
it's not just one type of work trailer. It's several kinds because there's a lot of work happening on the property. Sometimes we're talking about heavy equipment with heavy duty trailers. Sometimes we're talking about more cargo type trailers, but the ordinance says that if you're going to park a trailer on the property, it has to be behind the front foot of the home. These are being parked directly in the driveway. They're being parked on the road. They're being parked halfway on the swale, halfway on the road. We're getting a lot of complaints in about this property with all these varying types of trailers
Do they have permits for all this work?
for the work.
I mean, all these trailers, I would think it'd be constituting a bunch of work permits.
Yeah, this is the one that was sold and the remodeling.
Oh, yeah, they do. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I thought trailers, you're allowed to have so many days a month in the driveway. Isn't there?
Yeah, but we're talking about in a month period, we're talking about like, I've seen 22 out of 31 days it being there because it's constant. So usually when a property is having work done, if they're doing the work that day and if it's being removed from the property, understandable. But they're leaving these work trailers there for several days on end. Like had the trailer that was parked in the road, had a note not been left and had the police not gone out to investigate, it very well could have stayed there the entire day leading into the night. So it's just it's something that they're allowed to do while they're doing work, but they need to make sure that these trailers are not remaining on the property for days and weeks on end.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does that go for pods too?
You're allowed to have a pod. Most people call me. Believe you're allowed to have a pod for no more than 2 weeks.
Would someone like to make a motion? So according to what, Bill?
Find them in violation.
Well, they're in compliance now.
Yeah, it's not on the sheet.
Yeah.
Let me give you a motion and you might repeat it or just adopt it. In case 24-0275, find that the property was in violation of section 125-767 of the town code. The property is now in compliance, but compliance was not achieved within the time allotted in the notice of violation. So we'll have an order entered to that effect.
I'll second that.
Yeah, so moved.
So-
Whatever you say.
Okay.
One of the board members has to make the motion. So Jerry, you make the motion and Wes, you second it.
Sure.
You guys good with that?
Yes.
All those in
Yes.
favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
That's why we love you, Paul.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Okay. Case 240290,
Yes.
Marlo Richards and Paul Richards.
Yes. Good evening. I am Code Enforcement Officer Eric Richwagon with the Town of Lake Clark Shores. This is case number 24-0290. Site property owners identified by Marlo G. Richards and Paul Richards. Site property address is 7740 Beta Circle East, Lake Clark Shores, Florida, 33406. On 7/18/2024, a notice of violation was issued for section 125-767. Trailers are not permitted to be stored in the driveway. This was a boat trailer, just to specify. A notice of hearing was issued on 8/15/2024. As of today's date, the trailer is still there and now has a very nice boat on it.
Any personal discussion with the property owner there?
No, I mean, I've seen
Just
them.
curious.
I posted the notice. I posted the notice of hearing. I was
Okay.
expecting to hear something.
Someone like to make a motion?
What's this one? Vehicles, prohibited vehicles on, this would be prohibited
No, there isn't. one.
in the back. Okay, well. I'll go ahead. What, number one, order of finding violation?
Yep.
All right. Let's see here. Based on the testimony evidence presented in case number 24-0290, I move that this board finds the respondents in violation of sections 125-767 of the Town Code of Ordinances. Respondents shall comply with the Town Code of Ordinances on or before, and today being the 28th. You working this Saturday, Eric?
I actually am not because Monday is Labor Day, so they're going to give me Saturday off, seeing that I usually don't work Mondays.
You gonna work Friday?
Yes. Yeah, I'll be here tomorrow and Friday.
Okay, then I'm just,
I'm not gonna be here tomorrow.
Yeah, you need to get the order prepared and delivered.
Yeah, so we won't be able to
So I'll have to go
deliver it
Tuesday.
probably until
Tuesday or
Tuesday or
Wednesday.
Wednesday next week.
Yeah, Wednesday maybe.
all right.
Wednesday would be better.
Then what we'll do, ordinances on or before September September 4th of 2024. If the response fails to comply with the order in a timely fashion, a fine in the amount not to exceed $50 a day may be imposed. A fine assessment hearing will be held on September 25th of 2024, if necessary.
Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next case,
I'm
24.
sorry,
Oh,
who's second? Who did the
Sorry.
second?
Yeah,
Wes.
Wesley.
Wes?
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 Okay.
Yeah, Wes. Guilty, yep. Okay, next case, 240298, Margaret A. Stewart.
Yes, so there's 3 violations for this case. We'll go through each one
Mhm.
individually.
We'll discuss them all. Eric, you can introduce them all.
Sounds good. All right. I am Code Enforcement Officer Eric Richwagon, representing the town of Lake Clark Shores. These are cases 24-0298, case 24-0299, and I do want the board to add one correction for 24-0299. For the section, it says 34-199. That was a typo. The correct section number is going to be 34-19 sub 7. That section was properly cited on the NOV and NOH, but just wanted to make the board members aware.
Okay,
And then continuing on to case 24-0300. On 07/25/2024, these notices of violation were issued. First, for section 34-19 sub 9 sub B, the driveway needs to be cleaned. The next section, same date, 7/25/2024, section 26-276 was issued. The outdoor storage is a public nuisance. The neighbor to the right, the neighbor across the street called and complained. The storage that you see out there, this is what's there today, but what was there for the past couple months was a whole lot more. It was covered, so there was an odor coming from it. It was protruding into the yard, so several neighbors were very upset with it. That's why this one's being deemed a public nuisance. And then also section 34-19 sub 7 was cited. The open storage by the front door is not permitted. A notice of hearing was issued for these 3 violations on 08/15/2024. As of today's date, all 3 violations still exist. I did speak with the property owner. She does not have a vehicle, so she wasn't able to attend, but I told her that whatever the board members determined, when she gives me a call tomorrow, I will let her know. I expressed to her that the open storage by the front door has already been taken to the code board before. So let me actually pull my note for you. Give me one second. Emily looked this up, and back in July of 2019, section 34-19 sub 7 was cited. Because this is coming before the board again, I deem this to be a repeat violator, which means that the fine amount could go up to $500. I want the board members to know that this has been an ongoing issue. I had cited this property last year around March. She did come into compliance. However, this has been something that I see as ongoing. I've talked to her a few times. This open storage, she has no more room left inside of her house. There's no more room left inside of the garage. There's no room left on the side of the property. So this is the only area she's able to store it. I've explained it to her. She understands, but it keeps coming back. So for 34-19 sub 7, I believe they need to be deemed and cited as a repeat violator.
that would be case 0299.
Give me one second.
I'm just curious, Eric, is she an very elderly resident? I'm just curious. Are we dealing with someone that's in their 80s and 90s? I don't know.
I'll ask that question one second. Paul, you're correct. Case 24-0299. Miss Maggie Stewart, I'm not going to assume a woman's age, but we can give an approximate of late 50s to maybe somewhere in the 60s. So she's not a senior citizen to my knowledge. She may be, but again, I don't ask ages.
I'm just curious because obviously we've had other residents, and does she have any people, you guys, some of the people here have been here for many years in Lake Clark Shores, maybe know this particular woman. Does she have any adult children or anybody by any chance that we can maybe get them involved?
I believe she lives alone. At one time, she may or may not have had a husband. I've only ever seen her there. I've never seen anyone else.
Okay.
I can always ask Lieutenant Fisher because she's had contact with her before, so maybe she has more of a rapport. But from what I can tell you, I've only ever seen her there.
Okay, so let's go ahead and take case 240298. That's on page 4, bottom of page 4. One of you guys down there want to
I have a question.
jump in before?
All this storage stuff, does it all smell?
So when I posted before, it was just outdoor storage. She had covers over the stuff that's out there now. So when I posted the notice of hearing to the door, I didn't make it to the door before I could pick up on quite a lingering odor. And the closer I got, my professional opinion would be that it's of a rot nature, almost like something like furniture that got saturated in water, and then because of the covers, maybe was getting a steam bath from it. So it's like a deteriorating, rotting material smell.
Mold, mildew?
I'm not a mold expert, so legally, what I can say visually, I saw black type substances on there.
Okay.
Is this some mechanism? It sounds to me like that stuff needs to be put on the side of the street to go to the waste management, or whoever it is. Is there some, I don't know if she'd be open to it. Is there some mechanism where, maybe
These are items.
people or somebody could get people together to put that stuff out there for her?
Maybe once,
isn't,
maybe once she's fined, she'll make that decision.
But to answer the question, these aren't items that are deemed as trash to her. These are possessions. I don't want to get into
Right.
mental disorders.
Yep.
Yeah.
So 240298. How about it down there, guys?
Want to give it a shot?
Well, my question was actually, I just had a small question for the code enforcement officer. Do we have any resources that we can provide for her as far as maybe she's suffering from some kind of, hoarder situation, and maybe we can offer her, some resources to get help, to see how she can, 'cause like you said in your case presentation, she says that she had no more space where to put this stuff. So
That's correct.
I suspect that she might be suffering from, a disorder with, hoarding. And if we can, maybe provide her with a resource that could, potentially encourage her to get rid of some of this
I'm
stuff.
not sure that's the place for the town to do. I think if she comes to the town and says, my gosh, my neighbor is this, and I need some help. Can you help me? I don't think that the town should go in and say, oh, Wes, by the way, you need some help with all this stuff here? I just think you got to be careful on liability as to the way
Plus
on somebody.
plus really the scope of work of the, code enforcement board. We're just, our job and duty is maintain the codes, right? I mean, everything else is secondary. I think town council, I'm sure there's people here that they can probably reach out to people in town council and maybe they could get help out to her. But I agree with Wes. I don't think that's something in our scope of work, unfortunately.
If we were a magistrate, we'd be sitting here just determining whether she's in violation or not in violation.
Yeah.
Anybody
Good
want to?
Bill. Okay, so would one of you three down there like to make a motion?
And this is for the driveway.
This is for 240298. The driveway needs to be pressure cleaned. I think that would be what, number
I'll try
one?
it.
Number one.
Number one.
Number one on
Okay,
the
I'll
list?
try
Go
it.
ahead.
Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 24-0298, I move that this board finds the respondent in violations of section 34-19, subsection 9B of the Town Code of Ordinances. Respondent shall comply with the town's Code of Ordinances on or before September 24th.
Okay,
2024. If the respondent failed to comply with this order in a timely fashion, a fine in the amount of $50, not to exceed $50 per day may be imposed. A fine assessment hearing will be held on September 25th, 2024, if necessary.
I'll second it.
perfect. Okay, the motion's been moved and seconded. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right. All right, this is the repeat violator case, I believe.
Yes,
Yeah, let me just ask
Yeah.
something. To be repeat has to be within 5 years, and I heard June of
Oh,
July of 2019.
19.
no, that, yeah,
So we're sort of right on the cusp there. Um,
I guess technically though, we need to make,
Yeah, I think it would be sufficient really in this situation to find a violation, a new violation, and give a short period of time. You know, it could be 5 days or whatever to clean up that front area.
okay.
Bill, what about, Eric said that he issued a violation last year, you said in 2023, but she came into compliance?
Yeah, it was
We-
issued
Can we
on March.
Oh,
rely on that one instead or not?
Well, there has to be a finding, what probably
Oh.
wasn't presented to the board.
No,
Yeah,
Okay.
it came in compliance beforehand.
Yeah, the statute says repeat violation is a violation of a code by a person who has previously been found by a code board
mhm.
to have violated the same provision within 5 years prior to the violation. So it's, you know, we're maybe within 5 years, but if you just give her a few days,
But,
you know, 5 days or something, I think you accomplish it.
we've discussed this before, so even though the person comes into compliance, if they've been noticed and previously found in violation, that's a repeat violation.
If there's an order entered, and that's what we did with the one where I suggested the motion, that order will be the finding that there was a violation. So they will have been found by the code board to have violated the,
So in your opinion, this still would be considered a repeat violation?
no, I think in this one, I would treat it as a new violation.
Okay.
This would be her first one getting on, actually being fined.
Well, she'll be given
May-
a period of time, you know,
Right.
and it can be short, you know, that's,
Right,
you can move that in a day, I'm sure, if
move that into
if you
next
wanted
week.
to.
Well, she still needs to write it up, right?
Right,
Right.
She's gonna be gone.
she
So,
needs a few
Friday?
days.
and we got Labor Day weekend.
Right. Oh, Tuesday.
Okay.
Oh, you better
I
make it,
better
better
go
make it
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Order out until
Wednesday.
probably Wednesday.
Fourth.
We have this dismissed. Oh, here's, let's see.
Okay, so would someone like to make a motion?
I will.
Okay,
Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 24-0299, I move that this board finds a respondent in violation
August 28th.
of sections 34-19 subsection 7 of the Town Code of Ordinances. Respondent shall comply with the town's Code of Ordinances on or before September 4th, 2024. If the respondents fail to comply with this order in a timely fashion, a fine in the amount of not to exceed $50 per day may be imposed. A fine assessment hearing will be held on September 25th, 2024, if necessary.
Second.
further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right. Case number 240300. Open storage deemed as a public nuisance.
I'll go for that one. if you want.
Okay, Jerry.
Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 24-0300, I move that the board finds this respondents in violation of sections 26-276 of the Town Code of Ordinances. Respondents shall comply with the Town Code of Ordinances on or before Wednesday, September 4th of 2024. If the respondents fail to comply with this order in a timely fashion, a fine in the amount not to exceed, but you said this is they're not a repeat offender, $250 per day may be imposed. A fine assessment hearing will be held on September 25th, 2024, if necessary.
Now, the other violations were $50 a day.
I'm just going because this one's health and safety. That's how I'm treating,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
how I'm treating it. It's a
Okay.
public nuisance. There's smells from not one
Okay.
of the neighbors, but more than one neighbor
Okay.
has complained.
That's correct.
And she has kind of a history.
Okay.
So that's where my,
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Anybody? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Next item is new business. May authorize foreclosure of 1740 Melissa Road.
Do this by way of a motion, Bill?
Yeah, it would just be a motion authorizing the town attorney or a designee to commence foreclosure proceedings. And the statute says that once an order is recorded and lien has been posted for at least 3 months, then foreclosure proceedings may be pursued. So that you would be authorizing those foreclosure proceedings.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
I mean, I get it out there. Make a motion that code board authorizes the foreclosure of
1740.
1540 Carissa Road. Have the town attorney proceed with the foreclosure and have the town council proceed also. That gonna suffice?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I don't know that the town council has to take any action. Emily, was there a decision on whether these would go to the town council?
Yes, we decided to follow what you told us, and so it will be presented in front of the town council on September 9th.
Yeah.
So
it's
ultimately, they're gonna make the decision.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, technically, it doesn't have to go to the town council, but we suggested it's probably good policy
Mhm.
to have the council aware and
Could you just repeat the address again?
1740.
1740 Carissa Road.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, board comments, suggestions, updates? Anyone? Questions?
I have a comment. Just
Um,
so the new board members know that this property, Carissa Road, has come before us numerous times with violations. And the people were here with their son, and the son, the rental, probably the rental place. And the people that were renting it were doing things without permits, things that had all sorts of problems. And they said they would correct them, but the liens are still there. And so it isn't like we just said, oh yeah, we'll do this. They actually came before us. We heard from them and gave them some time to get things fixed. And now the only,
They actually went in front of the board as well and did get
Council.
a reduction.
Town council?
Town council afterwards. So it was, and this went on, I think, for more than a year.
Yeah.
Oh.
And
And there were some serious health hazards as well on that property that just weren't attended to. And so just to give you a little background, I think our town takes it seriously. We're not here to pound our residents or whatever. It's just something that unfortunately they just weren't as responsible on top of the problems in that very home, nor of their tenants. So.
Patricia, you had some questions you
I
wanted to ask
did.
of Eric?
Being new, we're on this side of it, listening to the violations, but could you just give a little bit of how you go out and do, Eric? You go out, you drive around,
Yeah, sure. I'll give you a little
give-
briefing. I've got
just a-
5 years of experience in code enforcement. I've got my base level 1 certification. I also served 4 years in the United States Army Infantry. So the way that I go about things is when I'm riding through the town, I'm treating everyone equally. So when I'm riding through a street, I'm looking for, several types of violations. Some of our most common ones are dirty roofs, dirty driveways, trailers, boats, being parked incorrectly, sometimes sod issues. So usually when I address those, I'll issue a violation. I'm usually pretty generous with the time that I give, because being a property owner myself, I look at it as if I received a violation. Either way, I'm not going to be happy about it, but if I see that a reasonable amount of time is given, I find that kind of dampens the blow. And even when I post a violation to the property, unless the people are hostile and aggressive in the past, I'll knock on the door and speak to the residents. I've got a pretty good rapport with most of the residents, and even if I don't get to speak to them, if they call me asking for a little more time, unless it's a health and safety, if it's a health and safety, then, I can't give any more time. I'm very restricted. Like with the property, they were just talking about 1740 Carissa Road. That one had a raw sewage spill. The septic tank was overflowing. Raw sewage had actually seeped out onto the property. It had been that way for at least a week. So you had a biological, health hazard. So in a situation like that, I had to report it to the state and to the county. They were given very minimal amount of time, and when it came before the board, the penalties were very severe. It was a maximum of $250 a day, because health and safety is a very big deal. But when it comes to a nature of like overgrown grass, I usually give about 30 days. If the residents are older and reach out to me, I usually do a little bit of extension. Same thing with the notice of hearings. I always post it to the property. I always leave my business card in case the owners have any questions, and some of them call beforehand, and then when they show up here, they're a little less intimidated, and they have a little more knowledge. So yeah, I mean, now that I've been in this town for over 18 months, I know a lot of the residents. I can tell you that a lot of residents here take a lot of pride in the properties. We have a few properties that need constant looking after. We have a lot of contractors that understand that when they see me, that if they don't have a permit, that they're going to be violated. So we've been able to get rid of some of the bad contractors, and we've been able to cut back on a lot of the work without a permit. And because I work on Saturdays, a lot of the people who are doing work without permits really don't like me, because I'm always catching them.
Thank you.
From
This gives us a little bit more knowledge of what you do, so.
Yeah, and I'm in the white Ford Fusion. It's a little hot right now, but I usually roll with my windows down. And if a resident flags me down, I always try and ride around and talk to them. I get residents calling all the time asking about things like, oh, do I need a permit for this? Or, hey, I'm gonna be working on my boat. Is it okay? And if someone calls me and reaches out, as long as it's not a health and safety, I'm here to work with the residents, not against them.
Thank you.
Do you mind if I bring up something?
Yeah.
First, I would like to apologize to all for me being late today. I flew in from Minneapolis, thought I'd be here in time. So apologize, just glad to be here. You can't fight Mother Nature, as you guys know. So second, I want to commend Eric. Property on 1730 with all the stickers on it now, that on Westlake Drive.
7730 Westlake Drive.
Yeah, that there was, I use that road all the time. So I always go through and there was people working on the property or someone that was actually there, had the garage door open. I immediately reached out to Eric, let him know that there was a person there. Eric not only went there, also had Manny go there because you discovered what I was told by you was that there was actual work that they were doing on the property. And then same person happened again on Saturday. So it's really been a great help that you are here on some Saturdays. And I guess they had another truck there with somebody else, but then Manny was able to come. You guys were able to do, actually have them open up the front door. And you want to give us a little bit of a report on 7030 Westlake Drive?
Sure. Members of the board, you'll remember this property. This is 7730 Westlake Drive. This is the one with a roof that was collapsing in. Manny issued an unsafe structure order. Now, the unsafe structure order means that you can't do any work on the inside. It does mean that if someone goes in there and wants to clear out items, they're allowed to, but they're not authorized to do any work in there. So this property has been being monitored for a while. There's a lot of legal issues going on it through the town. I won't get into that. From the code side, Mr. Sanchez gave me a call, let me know that he saw a vehicle on the property and, was concerned about it. I showed up there. At first I didn't see anyone, so I just snapped a few photos, and then I saw someone emerge from the garage. I got permission from the person to be able to step on the property. As I got closer to the garage, which the garage was open, I noticed that there was a power saw. There was a table with heavy equipment on there for cutting all types of items. I noticed other miscellaneous items. The gentleman told me he was only replacing a section of fence, possible, but the amount of equipment that was there led me to believe otherwise. So I reached out to Melissa in the building department. She then contacted Manny. Manny just so happened to be in the area. Within 45 minutes, Manny went out there. The person who was on site said they were going to wait for him. They did not. They packed up, they left, they closed the garage. So I showed Manny the photos, explained to him what I saw. Manny posted two stop work orders, one on the garage where the work was being done on the inside, and two on the front door. Everything seemed to be going well. Mr. Sanchez then gave me a call. I believe that was on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, gave me a call on Saturday, letting me know that the stop work orders had been removed. So I reached out to Manny, let him know that the work orders have been removed. No one snapped a photo of who it was, but if you catch the person doing it, it is a misdemeanor criminal offense. However, no one was physically seen doing it. So Manny went back out to the property. He issued a sticker, a stop work order sticker on the actual window and on the front door. This was all captured on a body camera. The same worker then emerged, speaking to Manny, explained, "Oh, no work's going on." Did show that a section of fence had been replaced. And then he asked why the stop work order had been removed. No answer was given for that. One of the, do we call them the owner or just trustee? What's the proper term?
Yeah, I don't know, Bill.
Yeah, there's been a lot of legal issues with the property, and I think they're resolving. But the person who may be the owner, which is a trust, has applied for a permit to repair the roof. And the issue really that the town has had is, are they really the owner? Because the background is the property was privately owned. I won't even get into names, but it was privately owned. The owner was in a nursing home or assisted living facility. The people that claimed to be the owner now had her sign a deed over to them. The daughter is claiming, the owner's daughter originally claimed that she was not competent to sign a deed. And in the meantime, the property's in foreclosure. So it's a mess. But there is a permit applied for to repair the roof. And I think we're at the point of resolving and letting having the town issue a permit, which will help in that regard.
But also the town is doing the landscaping of the front of the yard or maintaining it because the house was not being maintained. Am
Right.
I correct in we're actually, like Clark Shores is doing the front landscaping or cutting the grass or just to keep the appearances. And they're being charged, or there'll be a lien against the property for those expenses. So just to bring you up. But the first initial call was, and I was surprised, but if anybody had driven by, but they pretty much looked like they took out the inside of the house, cabinets in there. I couldn't believe the amount of trash that was put on the side. And I contacted Eric and say, hey, does Waste Management pick this, does our trash company pick this all up? Which I was surprised that they did. You made a phone call, but that was what caused the first one. And when I came back that day is when I noticed, hey, there's someone in the driveway, garage door is open, sitting there working. And I guess I called you twice that day.
Yeah, there were several residents that had called concerned about the property because there was a large amount of inside debris that was removed. So I had actually made a call to Waste Management just to make sure they were going to pick it up because it was a large amount of stuff. Had quite a smell to it as well. And because so many residents were calling in, I just wanted to make sure Waste Management was going to take care of it. Waste Management did. And to Mr. Sanchez's surprise, he was very surprised that they picked it all up, and so were the other residents. I did speak to the potential possible owner. They were very upset about the stop work orders, but it was explained to them why it was put there. The latest update I have is the stop work orders are there, but one of the hurricane shutters has now been closed, which blocks the view of one of them. Whether or not that's intentional, I can't speak for, but the one that's posted on the door is still there.
But just so you guys, this has been a very ongoing, so you guys, I think you're starting to see, we really do our best to give everybody plenty of time, get notifications, but unfortunately, they don't adhere to it. So, we've got to do our job.
Mr. Chair, I would also like to add, I would recommend that you come to the next council meeting on September 9th at 6:30 because the potential owner of the property is going to ask for lien reductions.
I'll also be present for the council meeting in case the council has any questions on 7730 Westlake and I believe 1740 Carissa.
Yeah.
So if any members from the board want to be present, because I'm sure there may be some heated discussions.
Can they ask for a lien reduction?
Well, they're
Property is
working
still-
on, they're working on coming into compliance. That's why they're asking for the roof permit. So, I think one of the violation was the fence. So they repaired the gate. Now, I don't know if it's sufficient to come into compliance, Eric?
Yeah, so the section of fence they replaced because there was a violation for the back of the property being open and exposed. Excuse me. So the section of fence that was replaced would put them into compliance for that. And because of the minimal scope of the work, they would not need a permit for that. So yes, for that particular violation, yeah, that would be sufficient. But there's several other violations on the property preceding my time being here.
Is there a summary of some sort of all this that's taken place?
What do you mean? Like, I'm,
Older.
so,
First notice,
no, we
permits
don't
that are
do.
outstanding.
No, we don't do a summary, but because this is gonna go in front of the council, I'm gonna write a memo to go over
Okay.
some of the history, not all of it, but
Right.
the most relevant.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, one thing is they're running up a tab with the landscaping. We consider that a public nuisance. So are they going in for reduction of that as well?
No, this is not a lien. It's, we're collecting non-ad valorem assessments for that. So it goes on their tax bill. So every year when they pay their tax bill, they're gonna pay for that too. And I think it's $75 a month that we get charged.
How much?
You want to come?
$75 a month. Yeah.
So you want to
pretty
do then we should do the whole town for that price? I'm really? 70?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
What's the address again?
It's going to be 7730 Westlake Drive.
7:30.
Is there any further discussion?
I had a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
Sorry to interrupt. I wanted to ask, because I'm new, as you guys are aware, and I'm used to being on that side with customers because I also happen to be a contractor. My question is, fines being ongoing until the permit is finalized and closed, is that like a statute or like a law or is that what we have to do here, or where does that come from, if I may ask?
Our main goal, if I don't mind speaking for the board, is for compliance. And
Okay.
unfortunately, doing small amounts of fines, just the resident, they just are not motivated to get it accomplished. And
When-
sometimes, like some folks, they've been told, we've had 30 days, 60 days, and finally it's like, you know what? This is a fine, get it fixed, or this will be imposed. And sometimes they've gone after the fact. They've taken their sweet time about it. And I think, maybe in the past, the reputation was, hey, go to the code and you can always get a reduction of fine. And unfortunately, they were generally repeat offenders that were doing this. So
In
Paul
my
was,
experience, the code, or rather the fine typically runs until compliance is achieved, and that's measured by a permit being finalized.
Okay. I'm used to once you get a permit.
It doesn't mean that the violation is
I
correct.
completely agree, but wouldn't that help us, instead of doing $50 fines and $100 fines, being able to create more repeat offenders and being able to go with $500 a day fine versus having a customer, for instance, the case right now where we couldn't do a repeat offender because we did it in 2019 and we're doing it again now. But if that person achieved the permit and didn't complete, then Eric would know right away they didn't complete because he's basically right next to Melissa, and then he can go back out there. Now we can create a repeat offender versus somebody who we're taking them all the way and just getting $50 a day for it. I mean, at least it's my perspective, right? So my thing is if I'm coming in next to anybody, my goal is to try to get that thing completed.
correct.
Not everybody's in the same boat. I get that.
Right.
But at least it creates a different opportunity, I guess, for us, which is not really what we're looking for anyway, but it'll give you more repeat offenders than it will anything else. Or, so if you don't want to pay $50 a day, well, let's try 500.
But you know what? You can make that motion.
Well,
Oh, no. I'm very comfortable.
I mean, no, you can make that motion, my good man.
I
It's
think
just-
250 is the max, right?
Not-
For first offense.
So for-
If it's a repeat offender, you can go up to 5.
Yeah, that's what the comment was earlier. Somebody was trying to get something to do the repeat offender, but you missed it. So that was question number one. I didn't know if it was like where it came from here, right? That we extended the fine all the way to the completion of the permit. It was more for me understanding.
I think we do that because people understand money.
Of course.
They're being charged, because we found, we'll give you another month, and they take another month. They don't
Yeah.
do it, and we say, well, we gotta start the fine running,
I think so.
and then when it's
So
done,
giving
we
them the
can
fine
review it.
is not the question. It's, okay, they achieved the permit and now they're showing that they're actually going through, because there was a couple here that, I mean, there's no reason why they couldn't have completed some of the stuff that we read today. I was just curious on that, and I agree. I mean, I know that there's fine lines, so I guess it's better just to take it all the way to the end, and that way
And
they'll be able to
We can
complete.
always adjust.
yeah, and then we've even had like if people, hey, I need 60 days. Well, then you know what? We ask them to come before the board the next 30 days and give a status. So that it's basically making everybody accountable, being whoever that contractor, it's ultimately the owner. They're
Correct.
gonna have to pay or whatever. And these contractors, and I think now hopefully contractors are learning, or hopefully the reputation like Clark Shores, you got to pull permit. They shouldn't be giving quotes.
I'll
with,
tell
you
you, from my
know.
perspective, it's always been like that. It's been a tough one. Even before Melissa worked here, or before, it was tough to work here in Lake Clark. It was a little stricter than the norm, which is a good thing because it keeps the bad ones out and it keeps the good ones in. If you have all your stuff in line and you don't have nothing to be afraid of, then you can come and work here in Lake Clark Shores. So for me, and my last question was about the trailers. So I don't know what the situation was, and I would never leave a trailer or allow one of my subcontractors to leave a trailer in the middle of the street. But I will remind everybody that Lake Clark Shores is all septic, and 99% of our septic systems here are in the front yard. So if you don't have enough driveway space for a truck and a trailer times 2 or 3 subcontractors you may have working at your home at that time, you're really left with not a lot of land to park. And I know that because it's happened to me in other municipalities or in other towns where I've had issues with parking. Palm Beach is a bad one too, where they'll find you. They don't even wait. They just find you from the beginning. So sometimes it's difficult for us as contractors to come in and have multiple trades, whether they're trucks and trailers, to park on a property because we can't step over or run over a septic system.
Right, but that, at the end of the day, you guys are generally, the contractors are taking their trailers back.
Absolutely.
Or I think in this specific
this
case,
scenario, they
they
just
were
left it
just, they're being left.
No, I hear you.
You know, no truck, unhitched. It's just,
Just sit there.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I don't know if someone's
know what they were
getting,
thinking, but
somebody's
yes.
getting friends and they're all getting together, who, you know, these, you know.
Maybe they went on the boat and they said, we're just gonna leave. We're gonna go get the boat and come back. And that's
As-
the trailer in the road. But yes. All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys answering my questions.
Thank you.
And that's why we focus so much, like since I started here, we really focus on making sure all the people that are doing work in town are doing it correctly, because there were quite a few people that I caught before they did anything and they didn't have licenses. They were actually in the process of getting their licenses removed, and they were getting ready to take on projects for certain residents that may not have fully understood the ramifications. So since then, we brought in a lot more, and I'm sure Melissa can speak for it. She gets calls all the time from people that should know better, and she ends up having to take them to school a little bit.
It happens every day. Trust me, I know. It happens every day.
Any further discussion? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So
I'll second it.
Motion's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
we're going out.
Thank you.
We can.
And speaking of-
Want to invite our new, you in, Dad?
Gotta get ready for that.